Okay, we are on the record with the people of the state of Michigan versus Brutus Chappelle. Case 2160648. Mr. Chappelle is charged with 1 count of embezzlement, $50,000 or more, but less than $100,000. Sent for exam appearances.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Assistant Attorney General Sean Ryan, P5487, appearing on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon, Judge Arnie Chambers, P63956, on behalf of Mr. Chappelle, stands for the record.
Mr. Chappelle, can you state your full name for the record, please?
Yes. Brutus Chappelle.
Okay, any preliminary matters?
Just a couple of other, one quick question. I have an officer in charge who may or may not testify, probably maybe will. But I was told that since he might testify or would be testifying, the court doesn't allow him to sit in the exam, or do you?
That would be up to defense counsel.
I know,
whether he
it's
objects.
sequestration.
Okay.
That's fine. I would ask that the mutual counsel testimony. This is the second preliminary matter. Counsel and I have had numerous conversations about the case. I indicated to him that at this time we're going to be moving to amend the charge. Currently, it's charged embezzlement 50,000 or more, but less than 100,000. We're going to be moving to amend the charge to embezzlement, agent or trustee, $20,000 or more, but less than $50,000. That is a 10-year and/or $15,000 felony, or 3 times the amount embezzled, whichever is greater. Second sentence may be imposed for any conviction of embezzlement, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, the dollar amount is not over $50,000. I also will be moving to amend the offense date. It currently reads October 20th of 2016 to January 17th of 2019. I would respectfully request to amend those dates to be September 3rd of 2015 through the same date of January 17th of 2019. I would also ask, for purposes of if there are a bind over, I would like striking the language on the complaint and not included on the information. It currently reads, did being a employee, et cetera, did convert to his or her own use without consent of the principal, and that being use of state of Michigan vehicles. I would ask to strike including gasoline consumption.
Anything else?
That is all.
Attorney Chambers, you've been made aware of those.
Yes, that was relayed to me just before court. As said.
I'm sure you don't object to the new charge.
No.
All right, I will amend all that. I have September 3rd, 2015 through January 17th, 2019. 1 charge of embezzlement, $20,000 or more, but less than $50,000. Language of including gasoline consumption taken out of the information in count 1. It being a 10-year felony. What was the amount you said? Or
I didn't cite the statute, I apologize. And that being statute pursuant to MCL 750.174 parentheses 5 parentheses A. That is the statute for 20,000 or more, but less than 50.
okay. Okay, anything else? And how many witnesses are you anticipating?
That in a way, another preliminary matter as well. I have 6 witnesses that are here. I know the court goes to 4:30. We will do our hardest best to get through as much as we can. I'm not sure that we will finish today. I do have 1 witness, 7 witnesses total. The 7th witness informed me, I believe last Thursday or Friday, that he and his wife have COVID. I told him to stay away and that we would inform the court that we would be unable to finish today. I did confer with Mr. Chambers about that and how the court normally handles that. But I can tell you I have so many conflicting schedules. When I reached out with my witnesses, I thought it might be best and hoped, as the court obviously has the time today, to do as much as we can, even though we may have to come back for at least 1 witness.
Okay.
Based on everybody's summer vacation things of that nature, if that's acceptable to the court. Okay, thank you. I know one thing, practicing all over the state now, that every court does things differently.
Differently,
So I always ask how you, just let me know how you do it, and happy to oblige.
Okay. As far as the witnesses, for the witness, the COVID.
Yes.
I would be okay with them, but if, defense objects to it, of course, we have to wait till that person tests negative for COVID. So,
That's what I would ask.
okay.
That wait till we test negative and be here in person or do by Zoom?
No, not by Zoom.
That's fine. And I would say that would be preferable from the perspective of, it is hard to do paper cases by Zoom.
Yeah, it's like the computer was blocking all
Oh,
the
yeah.
ledge over there. Okay, we'll get through it. And yes, 4:30 is our cutoff time.
That's fine.
We have union rules here.
I understand.
4:30.
And I let my witnesses know too. So I
Okay.
said it depends on how quickly we go and how much we can get through. So
Okay,
thank you.
you're welcome. Attorney Chamberlain, any preliminary matters other than a mutual sequestration?
No.
Okay. So if there's anyone on YouTube or on Zoom who may be a witness on this case or may testify, now's your time to log off. And if there's anyone in the courtroom who may be a witness or testify, now's the time also to leave the courtroom. That you waive.
Okay, thank you. If you could call Carrie Lardy to the stand. Carrie Lardy.
No, she could come this way.
Okay. Okay. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, we can step up to the court reporter and give her the first class name instead.
Okay, raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you. And once you sit down, make sure you speak up in that microphone right there. If you want to put it in your lap. do that too.
Okay. Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
Carrie Lardy, KERILARDIE.
Ms. Lardy, where are you employed?
I am employed with the state of Michigan, the Civil Service Commission, serving the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity.
Would that acronym wise be commonly known as LEO?
Yes,
And what is your position there again? I'm sorry.
I am the Human Resources Director for Leo.
Now, I'm going to take you back a little bit, a few years, back to 2015. Were you employed with the state of Michigan at that time in this capacity?
Not in this capacity, but I was employed with the state in 2015.
And what was your position then?
At that time, I was the Human Resources Director for the Civil Service Commission and the Department of Civil Rights.
Anything before coming to your current position in between 2015?
No,
When did you become the HR director for Leo?
January of 2019. It was called a different name at that time.
And that's what I was going to then pursue. So when you were hired in your current position, what was the name of the agency or division, or if you can kind of describe the structure at that time?
Sure. At that time in 2019, it was the Department of Talent and Economic Development, or as we commonly refer to it as TED. And as a part of TED, the largest component of that department was called TIA, which stood for the Talent Investment Agency.
And what did the Talent Investment Agency do?
So they were comprised of two main components. The first one was workforce development, which is an area that seeks to train and find employment for citizens of Michigan, including some targeted groups. The second main component was the Unemployment Insurance Agency.
Do you know when TED became TED?
Yes, in In 2014 and 2015, the governor issued an executive order reorganizing some state departments and creating TED, or the Department of Talent and Economic Development. And effective in March of 2015 is when TIA kind of started operating and became effective, in essence, when UIA became a part of the department.
UIA being the Unemployment Insurance Agency.
Correct.
Where today is the UIA part of?
The UIA today is a part of the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity, or LEO. In 2019, another executive order renamed TED to LEO. But it is in essence the same department, just called something different with a lot more employees.
And does TIA still exist?
TIA no longer exists as of 2019.
But the UIA is being a part of TIA and TED is still in existence, but through LEO.
Yes, the UIA as a separate agency within the state of Michigan has been in existence for many, many years and currently still is.
And as the director of is the HR director of LEO, does that also encompass being or overseeing the HR for therefore the Unemployment Insurance Agency?
Yes, it does.
And does the Unemployment Insurance Agency or LEO maintain personnel records of UIA employees?
The HR office for LEO maintains personnel records for all LEO employees, which includes all UIA employees.
Of which you're the director.
Correct.
And personnel records, are those records that are kept on every employee?
Yes, they are kept on all employees in a department, and then for 7 years after that employee departs that department.
And what are types of things that personnel records contain?
So personnel records contain a whole lot of information. It contains their initial onboarding information when they are hired into the department. It contains acknowledgments about department work rules, policies, handbooks. It contains performance evaluations. It contains disciplinary records if there are any. It contains notices, notes of achievements, accomplishments. It contains their beneficiary forms, their direct deposit forms for their paycheck, their salary history. It contains a wide variety of documents. Some are now kept electronically, but they are all part of the official personnel file.
And those documents that you described in the personnel file, those are kept in the course of the regularly conducted business of TED, if you will, in the state of Michigan.
Yes,
And it's your regular practice or the agency's regular practice of business to create in a sense of put those documents or refer into them and maintain them and keep them.
it is.
So they're your business records in essence.
It is.
You mentioned onboarding information. You mentioned bank records. I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, that obviously some of the onboarding information would contain name, address, phone numbers, things of that nature,
It would.
contact information,
Yes.
start dates, end dates if there were any.
Yes, usually each personnel file will have information where you can tell when an employee was hired into the department as well as when they departed and whatever the circumstances were of their departure.
When you become an employee of the state of Michigan, are you given any type of identifying number?
Yes, so each state employee has.
Judge, if we could clarify, is she talking about her? Is she talking about the general, using the word you?
An employee. I'll rephrase it. When someone is hired to the state of, when the state of Michigan hires someone is that person given some type of identifying number?
Yes, any employee is hired and assigned immediately an employee identification number. And the state contains 20 different departments. So if an employee at any point in their career goes from one department to another department, that employee identification number stays with them throughout however many departments they might be employed. It would be the same number.
So kind of like a social security number, but for the state of Michigan, so to speak.
Correct, it actually replaced using social security numbers to identify state employees because obviously that wasn't a very confidential or safe practice.
And is that considered a confidential number, your employee ID number?
We do not consider it confidential in and of itself, just the number, because it's part of state records and not typically considered PII and personnel identifying information unless it's combined with a bunch of other information. Employee ID numbers are shared pretty regularly with managers and HR records, and employees use that number to log into different systems within the state.
Are they given out, are employee ID numbers given out to other employees? Does everyone have access to an employee's unique identifying number?
They don't have easy access to them, no. There might be specific reasons why employees have them on other employees, but it would be job related.
Right. It's just. May I approach the witness with the Marty, I'm handing you what's been marked as people's proposed exhibit number 1. Do you recognize that?
I do.
And what is it?
This is what we would refer to in HR as an employee history.
Also reviews it. What did you say it was called again? I apologize.
An employee history.
1 second. How was this? This is my first time seeing this. All right, Judge, we can continue.
I didn't hear you.
We can continue.
Okay.
Thank you. And did you provide this particular record, which is proposed exhibit number 1 to me, yesterday or today?
I did.
And who is this an employee history for?
Mr. Rufus Chappelle?
And this employee history via people's proposed exhibit number 1, what general information does an employee history contain?
So an employee history contains the date of an employee's state employment. It contains all of the different positions that they held through position codes. It contains their salary history, so you're able to see their rates of pay throughout the years. It contains records related to where their job was located, what part of the organization it was located in, and then more broadly, what departments they worked for can be identified through the employee history. It also contains information related to potential leaves of absence an employee might have taken, address changes, other personnel changes they might have made on their official record.
They meaning an employee.
Yes,
And are these also kept in the course of the regularly conducted business activity of Leo?
they are. They are contained within a system we refer to as Herman, which is the state's human resources information system.
And again, did you go into the system and request these documents from the system to print out in regards to Rufus Chappelle?
I did.
Your Honor, at this time, I would ask that they be admitted, because exhibit 1 be admitted to evidence.
Judge, I'm going to place an objection. This appears to be overbroad and irrelevant. Much of this goes back. I mean, I'm seeing dates that are well beyond the statute of limitations, well beyond the offense dates. 2005, 2002.
Are you, I can't hear you.
I'll start at the beginning.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to change.
I'll start at the beginning, Judge. I'll object as to relevance of being overbroad. I mean, I've seen a lot of documentation here, and again, this is my first time seeing this. This piece of paper was sitting on the table when I came in, but I didn't know this was for me. Apparently it was emailed to me either this morning or late last night. See an email at 11 something PM last night, which I didn't look at. But Judge, I don't know the relevance of this entire document. As I said, Judge, I mean, many of these dates on this document go well past the statute of limitations, well past the alleged offense date. I don't see the purpose of this.
The purpose of it, I will agree with counsel from the perspective of there is a lot of information in the document that is really irrelevant, but it establishes when he became an employee of the state of Michigan, that he is an employee of the state of Michigan. Everything otherwise that she would be testifying to would be hearsay unless the documentation is admitted or counsel wishes to stipulate, or she's allowed to basically just testify referring to it. So that's why all these paper cases or all this documentation has to I have to establish that he was an employee of the state of Michigan. And that's in essence what this document shows. And I am not, as a prosecutor, in the business of removing and, taking part of records and using part of records for being potentially accused of, altering documents. That's why he was given them all. That's why I'm admitting them all. But I would agree, there's a lot of information on there that has absolutely nothing to do with this case. But some does.
It's been submitted in its entirety.
It has been submitted in its entirety. And I did give it to counsel when I got it, which was yesterday. We knew of its existence.
Okay, Attorney Chambers.
Just for the record, I would place a hearsay objection as well, Judge. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I mean, I'll leave my objection as it is.
Okay, is there something of concern that you want redacted before moving to admit?
That would call for an adjournment of this entire proceedings, I can tell you that.
Well, I don't want anything admitted that I shouldn't see.
Judge, I've asked to adjourn. I've got to go through this with my client. I don't know
How many pages?
what's on it in 24.
Well, let me ask this. Perhaps we could go without at this point admitting it. If I can ask Ms. Lardy some questions that she may refresh her memory by referring it to, unless you have an objection, then we can. I think I could get the information that's pertinent to me if we go question by question.
We can use any document to refresh the memory.
True.
It's a proper question.
If it's a proper question, you can object if it's not.
Right.
But for example, I mean, she doesn't have an independent recollection or knowledge of when he first became a state of Michigan employee, but referring to the document and testifying, refreshing her memory as to it could be objectionable as hearsay, which is why I was admitting the document. But if counsel, for purposes of the exam, I don't have a problem not admitting all of this. I just have certain information that I need to have to prove as my element. If you want to go question by question, so we can have to adjourn, and I'm happy to bring her back at a later date, however you want to do it, or I can move on to the next witness and have Ms. Lardy come back.
I mean, Judge, she can't testify to information that she doesn't have direct knowledge to. This would not refresh her requirement as to when my client was hired into the state of Michigan.
Right.
Unless counsel wanted to stipulate to it, because I'm sure, his client knows, but that's not his burden, that's mine.
And it is. And I don't know at this time if I'm going to make any stipulations in this case. I don't know if you would want to. So I would say go to that.
Okay, I don't want to adjourn right now.
I understand.
For this issue, I understand that Attorney Chambers just received this yesterday. And it would be hearsay. And
Well, the document itself would be admissible under
business
803, under 8036 as a business record, but her testimony about what's in it would be hearsay without it being a yes.
Okay. Attorney Chambers, do you want a moment to review it? Or do you?
I mean, Judge, my client's going to have to review it. We're going to have a conversation with him with regards to this. And I don't want to. I can't divulge private conversations, or I won't at this time, at least between myself and my client. But I have a little bit of concern of some things that I've seen in here in my discussions with him. And I need some clarity with regards to that in speaking with him.
May I,
So I don't know how else to go about this, Judge.
may I make a suggestion? Counsel, you have all these other exhibits that I would admit through Ms. Lardy. Perhaps we could take all of her other testimony and leave this issue for when we know we have to come back anyway for that, at least that other witness, so we can continue with this other testimony and not waste the court's time.
I'm going to need to be corrected to the exhibit, so that's.
This is his address, that's it.
Where is that? Judge, this is why I wanted a proper PCC form, so I could get the exhibits.
A what form?
A PCC form. It's a form that's been used in this court to give a list of the witnesses and a list of the potential exhibits. And he's shown the potential exhibits beforehand, and this is where we get into it.
Did you ask for it?
I don't, Judge, honestly, I don't know if I asked for it on the record. I asked her for it. I had discussions with regards to her, so I don't know if those discussions came into our probable cause conference. Or if I asked on the record, I typically do.
We met. I came to the Detroit office. I said, I'll meet with you. I'll go over everything. I showed him these exhibits, except for the one I just received yesterday. He took pictures of some of the titles to compare them to the labels of discovery that were sent to him. Sorry.
A lot of plastic.
I know, I've talked with my hands. I had a witness come with me as well to help walk him through some of the Excel spreadsheets. I think we spent, what, 2 hours together?
We spent just short of 2 hours together, Judge, yes, and I was showing.
Available to answer any questions and show him. I mean, the documents are labeled that I'm using, exhibits. I know you took pictures on your phone to find them, and we sent electronic discovery, and each document is labeled a certain thing. Some are labeled numbers, and I did tell him, don't worry about this exhibit, I'm not admitting it, don't worry about that exhibit. But we even gave him copies, physical copies of a very large, colorful exhibit and some other things in person. I did this with Mr. Polk too, when he was on the case, and I understand that Mr. Chambers is new on the case. So to say that I'm obligated to point to where, I mean, I don't know how he handles his discovery, he prints it all out. I believe that he was given money as an assistant.
Judge, let me just stop because it wasn't, I understand what she's saying, and I was showing documents, Judge, but it wasn't showing the actual exhibits. None of the exhibits were, the documents I was showing were labeled.
That's true.
So what I was just
yesterday.
asking her is where.
I have never provided an attorney with.
Let me see the document, and I'll look at mine.
So,
What would this be proposed exhibit to? What is it that?
People's proposed exhibit number 2 would be a business record from the agency showing the addresses that he lived at. That he self-reported.
That's fine.
And again, we didn't need to ask for stipulation, so.
Number 2, I have no issue. If you could just show me number 2, show me the exhibits before we get into these. That would be fine. It's the handbook. Hold on.
This is pretty. One at a time?
Yeah. I guess so.
You okay with these?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll put, proposed, may I approach to get proposed one back?
Yes.
Put that one on hold. As part of Rufus Chappelle's personnel file, you indicated addresses are part of that information that's reported by an employee when they're onboarded initially, and then are they required to update or change addresses?
They are.
And are those changes and updates kept also as part of their personnel file and kept in the normal course of business of Leo?
They're retained in our human resources information system.
And may I approach the people's proposed exhibit number 2, Your Honor?
Yep.
I'm going to show you people's proposed 2. Do you recognize that?
Yes,
And what is that?
this is a screenshot of a particular screen within our human resources information system that reflects employees' addresses. Employees report this to us and we either change it manually or they report it through a system that will update it automatically.
And when you say it's a screenshot of the system, what system would that be part of?
It is what we call Herman.
Or is it still part of Herman?
Yes.
I would at this time move for its admission.
Screenshot of not this.
Screenshot, a copy of a business record, screenshot, photograph.
Yes.
I would ask that it be admitted, Your Honor, under 8036.
Same objections are right.
It'll be admitted as people's exhibit 2.
Thank you. And can you indicate, I've highlighted a couple of addresses, 2 addresses specifically on there, that you tell me what those were that Mr. Rufus Chappelle reported and when?
The first one is from February 6, 2004, with an address of 26493 Isleworth Point, point spelled out. In June 7th, 2013, it was 26493 Islesworth Point with point abbreviated as PT.
And was there a point in time in 2016 that he changed his address, or his official address was changed again? Or not again, obviously it wasn't changed, but was it changed at some point?
In 2016, February of 2016, it was changed to 26524 Islesworth Point.
And was it subsequently changed?
Yes, in November of 2016, it was changed to 29613 Glenbrook.
And also, what address did he report in 2018?
In July of 2018, he reported 29316 Glenbrook Drive.
What was, according to the records, you've reviewed Mr. Chappelle's personnel file, correct?
I have.
What was his last position with the unemployment agency?
He was an unemployment insurance examiner.
And what is an unemployment insurance examiner?
So that is one of hundreds of various state classifications. And an unemployment insurance examiner is a classification for employees who work with unemployment insurance claims.
Judge, again, I would object, as I believe this would still be hearsay testimony. And I understand that she reviewed some documents and she testified to the documents that she reviewed. I don't know what documents.
Well, Ms. Lardy, do you have personal knowledge in general of what your unemployment insurance examiners do?
I do. I have knowledge in human resources of state classifications, and I know pretty well the state classifications for the departments that I'm working with.
And what does, in general, an unemployment insurance examiner do?
Sure. So there's a wide variety of things they could potentially do, which range from being in a call center type setting or an in-person local unemployment insurance office where employees come in to either file or discuss their claims. It's possible they help claimants walk through that process or address any concerns or problems they're having while filing their claim. They could potentially do adjudication. They could, meaning that they make a decision on whether or not a claim will be paid, whether unemployment insurance benefits will be paid. They could be involved in some aspect of fraudulent unemployment claims. They could have things to do with the taxing part of unemployment claims. They could do any wide variety. We have hundreds of unemployment insurance examiners within UIA, and there is a wide variety of tasks that they do related to unemployment insurance.
In regards to an adjudicator, someone who decides whether a claimant is to receive unemployment benefits or not. If the agency were to deny someone a claim of unemployment benefits, is there a process for a claimant to pursue that further?
There is.
And what is that process, briefly?
It would be an appeal to the unemployment insurance agency.
And is there a position or general job description under unemployment insurance examiner that would be part of that process?
There are tasks associated with the appeal process assigned to unemployment insurance examiners, yes.
Such as what?
Reviewing some of the information that comes back in either from the claimant or the business, preparing information for hearings.
Tell me about that. What do you mean by hearings?
There is a separate group of unclassified hearing officers within the state system. And by unclassified, what I mean is they are governor appointed officers, often past judges or attorneys who have knowledge of the unemployment system. And they are ultimately the ones that hear a case from a claimant and a business regarding benefits being issued.
They would, are you describing it as the part of that appeal process?
Yes,
Okay.
that is ultimately where the appeal process could end up with, is in a hearing.
Okay. So if an appeal process ends up in a hearing, what type of hearing is it called?
Unemployment insurance hearing?
Okay. And there is is it a judge or administrative law judge or something else?
So we call them commissioners.
Okay.
They are unclassified governor appointees.
So the commissioner is like the judge,
Yes,
and the commissioner would hear that appeal from, could it be either side, a claimant or the employer, or is it usually a claimant or something else?
yes, it could be from either side that is protesting either the award of benefits or the denial of benefits.
And is there anyone in the unemployment insurance agency who is assigned to represent the agency at those hearings? Are your hearing officers involved in that?
I believe there is, but I cannot speak to those specifics.
Okay. And do you know, if you do, if you don't, because obviously we're not dealing with record check, what classification or what position Mr. Chappelle held?
Mr. Chappelle was an unemployment insurance examiner. Early on in his career, it was under a different title.
Judge, I'm going to object now as to whether or not, I don't believe there's been a foundation as to whether she has direct knowledge of that information.
I'll wait, that would go to the record to issue.
Okay, that was my question on my.
Yeah, yep, that's fine. You mentioned as part of someone's personal records or part of the business records that the agency keeps are policies, handbooks, acknowledgements of those things. Is that correct?
Correct.
May I approach the witness, please?
Yes.
Handing you what's been marked as people's proposed exhibit number 3. Do you recognize that?
I do.
And what is it?
This is an acknowledgement form that all employees who are a part of TIA would have been expected to sign, acknowledging that they had been provided the TIA employee handbook.
And an employee who's hired, who now are they given a copy of the employee handbook and expected to acknowledge it and be aware of it and be responsible for it?
Yes, both employees who are hired brand new into TIA would have been given a copy of it, as well as any updates all employees would have been expected to acknowledge.
And the acknowledgements are kept in an employee's personnel file?
They are.
And that People's Proposed 3, do you recognize it specifically as being part of Mr. Chappelle's personnel file?
I do.
I would move for its admission at this time under 8036.
No objection for the purpose of this hearing.
Before we move forward, off the record for a moment. Back on the record.
Again, what do you have in front of you? People's three.
Exhibit number 3.
I would give any objection that you.
We brought this already.
I think I did, yes. Okay, so that's, the acknowledgement in regards to, Rufus Chappelle's acknowledgement of receiving the employee handbook.
Correct.
My approach is proposed for, Your Honor. I'm handing you what's been marked as a portion of people's, proposed exhibit for only 2 pages referencing vehicles. Look at that. You recognize, I didn't print the whole thing is the relevant portion.
I do recognize it.
And that, was that handbook, the applicable in effect handbook at the time that Rufus Chappelle was employed as a unemployment insurance examiner.
While under TIA, yes.
And specifically, that portion is in regards to vehicle use, is that right?
Yes.
And again, handbooks and policies are records kept, or at least at that time, as part of the records under TIA, which was that time not Leo, or was it Leo?
It was not Leo. It was under TED.
Thank you, Ted's records, but now are they still kept as well?
Yes, any employee who was in TED who became Leo, their records just transferred and stayed with them.
And those are kept in the course of the regularly conducted agency's business.
They are.
Your Honor, I would ask that people's proposed exhibit 4 be admitted into evidence under 826.
Purpose of this exhibit, a little judge.
Okay, we'll give it as people exhibit number 4.
Portion of this handbook that is part of people's exhibit number 4. It's in regards to vehicle use, page 42, correct?
Yes,
And that exhibit indicates that all drivers must possess a valid driver's license. Is that correct?
it does.
And that all employees must sign a driver's agreement on file with HR before driving any state vehicle.
That is correct. That is kept in their personnel file.
Now, may I approach again? Oh, I'm going to show you people's proposed exhibit 5. Do you recognize that?
I do.
Council, do you have any admission, any objection to it being admitted at this time?
What is that?
People's exhibit number 5 is the acknowledgement, Mr. Chappelle's acknowledgement of the TIA work rules. I would move for its admission, Your Honor.
Will be admitted.
And just briefly tell the court what it is.
So within our departments, we have a list of work rules, and this form specifically is Mr. Chappelle's acknowledgement of receipt of the work rules as applied to TIA/TED employees.
May I go to the Your Honor? Yep. Show you people's proposed exhibit number 6. Do you recognize that?
I do.
And what is that?
This is the list of specific work rules as applicable to TIA/TED employees.
So 5 is an acknowledgement that Mr. Chappelle receive and acknowledge his receipt of 6.
Correct.
At this time, the council stipulate to its admission for purposes of exam.
I won't object to it.
I would move for its admission then.
It'll be admitted. It will be admitted.
Thank you. In regards to the work rules, these are departmental work rules, is that correct?
Correct.
And does Exhibit 6 indicates that if an employee's current position requires the possession of a valid driver's license, then a restricted or suspended license for any reason must be reported to the employee's immediate supervisor at or before the employee's next scheduled shift? Is that a work rule? Was it a work rule at the time? Well, for the record, Mr. Chappelle acknowledged receiving the TIA work rules on May 29th of 2018, is that correct?
Correct.
And also for the record, People's Exhibit 3 indicates that he acknowledged receipt of the employee handbook on March 28th of 2017.
Correct.
What was that date? I'm sorry. Of 2017, the handbook.
March 28th.
March 28th of 2017. Report like this.
That is number 4. When you're referring to the March 28th.
Number 3. Number 3.
That's the acknowledgement form.
Correct.
Okay, so the acknowledgement form is
3,
right.
the actual handbook's 4. The acknowledgement for the work rules is 5, the actual work rules is 6. May I approach the witness again, Your Honor? Repeat the opposing exhibit number 7. Handing you what's been marked as people's proposed exhibit number 7. Do you recognize this?
I do.
What is that?
This is a form from the Department of Management and Budget, which actually is responsible for oversight of vehicle and travel services for all state employees. And this is a form that all state employees are required to sign. That stipulates the rules and their understanding to agree, understanding of the rules and their agreement to the rules regarding operating state vehicles while in the course of travel for state business.
And people's proposed 7, is that such acknowledgement in regards to Rufus Chappelle?
It is.
And was this document in Mr. Chappelle's personnel file?
It was.
And again, as you testified, is that all created and kept in the normal course of the agency's business and kept in the personnel file as such as you described previously?
It is.
Your Honor, at this time I'd ask it to be admitted into evidence under 8026.
For any objection?
Yeah, Judge, I would object to this one, just in that this document goes back to 2004. Well outside the period here, and I don't know how this becomes relevant at this stage of this. So I would object as to relevance of, as to this particular document, being that it goes back to 2004, as I'm saying.
That wasn't put on the record.
What? No,
2004.
no, because it's not admitted yet.
So what would be the relevance?
To show that, well, may I do maybe a little bit more foundational from this perspective? How often do, if you know, if you're the right witness for it, if you're not, tell me, the state of motor vehicle driver agreement, when would an employee be required to sign this?
So typically an employee would be required to sign this upon hire. And then there's the potential at other points, if they change state departments, the new State Department may or may not want to get a new copy of it on file. If they take a promotion or another job that requires driving, and their previous position did not, the department may or may not choose to update the form. It is not uncommon that an employee signs this once or twice in their entire career, because this is a statewide form that applies to all state employees. And so, unlike other forms which are department specific, it may not be something that regularly gets updated and signed because it's applicable to an employee regardless of the position or the department in which you're serving.
In reviewing Mr. Chappelle's personnel file, you testified that you have, correct?
Yes,
Were there any other motor vehicle driver agreements contained in his personnel file?
not that I located.
This is the only one acknowledging it, again, that is in his file.
Correct.
Your Honor, again, at this time, I'm going to ask that the relevancy explain that it would actually encompass the acknowledgement for purposes of the charging offense dates.
No objection?
No.
People would do some.
Now, People's Exhibit number 7. May I present?
Yeah.
Can I hand this, give this to the court, and with council's permission, given a similar, same exact copy for the witness, so the court can look at it. Yes. There are a couple pertinent parts that I want, and you're aware, obviously, of why we're here today and what this case involves.
Oh, yeah.
Are there parts of that driver agreement that pertain to why we're here today and that would be relevant and important to point out?
Absolutely.
Such as?
The fact that this was an agreement stating that Mr. Chappelle would agree that he will not operate a state of Michigan vehicle without possession of a valid Michigan driver's license with proper endorsements.
Anything else on there?
That it would, he would agree to obeying all traffic rules, all regulations, that any fees incurred would be his responsibility. And some other relevant ones would be understanding the usage of the state motor vehicle is for official state business purposes only.
Meaning not for personal use.
Correct.
Okay,
Judge, I would object to the last portion of that answer and the question, Judge. What's in the document is in the document. The meaning can be interpreted by whomever. In this case, I would say it should be you, not her. But it says, understand.
For official state business.
For official purposes only.
Official state business purposes
Right,
only.
that should be what it is. Not their interpretation.
Well, the state of Michigan makes the policy, right?
Correct.
And what does that mean?
That employees may only use state vehicles for official business and not for personal business.
And what do you mean by personal business versus state business?
You can only use a state vehicle if your job requires travel throughout the state or perhaps even the country during the course of your job duties. If it requires travel, you would be allowed to
I
take
would
a.
object to her being the one answering this question. I don't believe she's an appropriate witness to answer the question or to testify to that.
I would disagree, Your Honor. Clearly, she knows.
Why wouldn't you be the right person as far as policy?
The policy is written here, Judge, and it's written as it is. Her testimony is irrelevant to it. And as to why and the interpretations of the policy, that she's not the right one.
I would disagree, Your Honor.
Well, I can read and I do understand what it says. As far as
No.
being the one who will have to make the decision. what her interpretation is, based off of her role and her job, I believe is relevant. This is not, but like I said, I can read and understand for myself.
Thank you, I'll move it on, Your Honor. Your Honor, I don't have any further questions of this witness at this time.
Number 3, the acknowledgement form has a date of, is it March 28th, 2017?
I don't have it in front of me.
Testimony?
Looks like it.
Yeah.
It does.
And the handbook, which is exhibit number 4, there's a date on there that says November the 3rd of 2017. Is that fair to say?
And if you witness exhibit 4.
It does.
March 28th is before November the 3rd, 2017, correct?
It is.
That acknowledgement form you testified was to the employee handbook, correct?
It is.
The acknowledgement of work rules had a date of May the 16th of 2018, correct?
Exhibit 35.
That is exhibit number 5.
Mr. Chappelle acknowledged the work rules on May 29, 2018.
You don't have anything to do with the way that vehicles are signed out by employees.
I do not.
Do you review within your capacity or work capacity the records involving signing out of vehicles or signing out by employees?
Not on a regular basis, but in the course of an employee investigation, I very well may review those records.
Okay, fair enough. To your knowledge, do those records include, let me back up, ask this a different way. When an employee, to your knowledge, signs out a vehicle, is there a picture taken of the employee at the time?
Am unable to answer that.
The answer would be the same for if I asked if there was a video.
It would be the same answer.
Yeah. Unemployment insurance examiners, is it your testimony that they do any wide variety of tasks?
They do a wide variety of tasks related to unemployment insurance claims.
Right, nothing further.
Any redirect?
When you say wide variety, does that mean one employee does all of those things, or do you mean, what do you mean? In the sense, do you understand my question?
Sure.
Okay.
There are hundreds of unemployment insurance examiners within the unemployment insurance agency. Different structures, different directors have divided that up different ways historically throughout the years. So it's hard to give an example, or excuse me, it's hard to give an answer that would cover 50 years worth of UIA work. The way that it has been structured, and I'll say for approximately the last 10 years, to my direct knowledge, is that tasks tend to be more divided. So you have a group of UI examiners on the phones. You have a group of UI examiners handling in-person appointments. You have a group of UI examiners doing adjudication. You have a group dealing with employee taxes or paying unemployment taxes and so on.
But they all have the same quote job title.
They all have the same job title. We refer to it as a classification. And many of them have exactly the same job description that is relatively high level, sometimes intentionally vague, so that the employee can do a wide range of job duties.
And just to be clear, anything specific to Mr. Chappelle would be contained in people's proposed exhibit number 1. About his job title, classification.
For his classification, yes, it will not go into specifics about his job duties, but that document will show his job classification throughout his entire state career.
I
Did you say
understand.
exhibit 1?
I said would propose.
Oh, proposed.
exhibit 1.
Thank you.
That's not been admitted yet.
Okay.
I may have said exhibit 1, I'm sorry. I meant proposed exhibit 1.
Okay. Ms. Larkin?
What?
Oh, you have more?
Just a quick follow-up for clarity. But an experienced unemployment insurance examiner may provide or work on any wide variety of tasks. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
Not question.
Who determines that?
The department, management, along with human resources, then certifies that the tasks that are assigned to an employee are appropriate for that specific classification. And what I mean by that is, if you're an unemployment insurance examiner, it would not be appropriate for you to do human resources work, because those are entirely different jobs and functions within the state. So management is responsible for identifying what tasks they would want, in this case, an unemployment insurance examiner to perform. And the Office of Human Resources and the Civil Service Commission are the ultimate authority in certifying that those specific tasks are appropriate for that classification.
The supervisor. Or a UI examiner would do the task approved by the supervisor, his or her supervisor, fair to say?
Yes, if I can add on to that,
No. Yes. No.
yes.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is, it could be the direct supervisor, it also could be higher levels of management that have made that determination of the task that will be assigned.
Thank you.
Now we're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Is she to wait in the hallway or should we?
I think probably she should go in the sense of, I don't think we're gonna get through all the other witnesses today, and the sense of him having an opportunity to review, like, people's report one. That'd be fair,
Free to go? Thank you.
The people would call Rochelle Washington to the stand.
Before Ms. Washington goes, 5 minute break? 5 minutes.
Perfect.
Okay, we are back on the record, the people of the state of Michigan versus Rufus Chappelle appearances.
All right, here I go.
Artie Chambers on behalf of Mr. Chappelle.
Ready for a second?
Yes, Your Honor, I would call Rochelle Washington to the stand.
Step up to the court reporter over here and give her your first and last name and spelling.
Ms. Washington, raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, no truth, nothing.
Yes, I did.
Door opens right here in front. And once you have a seat, you can hold that mic in your lap or you just speak it. Okay.
Can you please state your name, state and spell your name for the record, please.
My name is Rochelle Washington. My first spelling of my name is Rochelle. Last name Washington, Washington.
Ms. Washington, how are you employed?
I'm employed at the state of Michigan and my position is UI Manager 13.
And does UI mean unemployment insurance?
Yes,
Do you work for the unemployment insurance agency?
yes.
And how long have you been a UI Manager 13?
Ever since 2009.
And when you say UI Manager 13, is that a job title, a classification, or something else?
It's a classification under human resources.
And you said you've been at that position since 2009.
I believe since 2009.
Was there a period of time where you were a UI Manager 13 working out of the Detroit office in the Cadillac building?
Yes,
And when was that?
that was approximately in 2009.
So you started at that position in the Detroit office?
Yes,
And did you ever leave the Detroit office to go to a different office?
yes,
And when was that?
that was approximately June 21st of 2021 at the Sterling Heights local office.
Are you still there today?
Yes.
And what are your job duties as a manager in regards to who you supervise?
I delegate work. I supervise at this time approximately 12 employees. I have to do the operations of the office with the security guards and any office needs that there are. I delegate. That's what I do, delegate the work.
Do you know a man by the name of Rufus Chappelle?
Yes,
And how do you know him?
I used to be his former manager.
Do you see him in court today?
Yes,
Could you please point to him and describe something he's wearing?
yes, he has on a white shirt and a gray jacket and with glasses.
Your Honor, may the record reflect this witness identified the defendant in this case.
So reflect.
Were you his direct supervisor at some point in time?
Yes,
Do you know when that was?
approximately 2018.
When?
Until he retired.
Do you know approximately when that
I
was?
think that was in 2019 when Rufus retired.
And as his direct supervisor, what was his position?
He was the lead worker, the unemployment insurance lead worker.
And is that a position, a classification, or something else?
It's a position and a classification, both.
And as a unemployment insurance agency lead worker, when you were supervising him back in 2018 and into 19, what did he do?
He was responsible to prioritize assignments for the lower level coworkers of his, to assist with training, and to answer, their questions on, UIA, work tasks. And he was also, part of the, hearing team where he attended, hearing. And then and lastly, he had to assist the managers in any needs, like do reports in any needs that were necessary.
Assistant managers in doing reports, is that what?
Yeah. Anything that I would delegate. Sometimes I had him do reports,
What type of reports? What do you mean?
TRA reports. And that's trade readjustment assistant.
You said that he was part of the hearing team. Tell me about the hearing team.
Oh, Rufus attended hearing to represent the unemployment agency.
He represented the unemployment agency?
At the hearing, yeah,
Is that yes?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
The reason I ask is because everything's being recorded and the mm-hms and the
Oh,
they don't
yeah.
get recorded
Oh,
very
yeah.
well, so I'm
Yeah.
sorry. What types of hearings are you talking about and what type of representation does the unemployment insurance agency would it need?
Claimants at the unemployment agency, they have the right to appeal to the administration law judge, which is the third level. And when they do that, the administration law judge, like they have representation from the state of Michigan to appear and at the hearing.
So, can a claimant have an attorney as well?
Yes, if they choose to, yes.
So if someone applies for unemployment benefits, they're either granted or denied, correct?
Yes,
And then from what, correct me if I'm understanding you, correct me if I'm not understanding you right. Either side could appeal that decision, is that fair to say, rather the claimant or the employer?
either side, if the employer also could appear, protest, I'm sorry. The employer could protest too.
And then are there different levels until you said you get to the third level of that process?
Yes, and then there's another level, and that's the board reviews, that's the fourth level.
What level was Mr. Chappelle involved with?
The third level,
And you said there's a fourth level, the board of reviews, what's that, you know?
that's in Lansing. If an employer or a claimant loses their case at the third level, they have the right to protest to the fourth level, which is in the board of reviews there in Lansing, the board.
When you use the word protest, do you mean, and if you don't, tell me, do you mean like appeal, like there's been a lower?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
No, I just want to make sure if we're using different words, I want to understand the meanings of them. So when you say protest, like someone gets a determination, correct?
Yeah,
And if, let's say, a claimant is denied unemployment benefits,
yeah,
they can go to a higher level to have it reviewed.
yeah.
And that is called what word in your agency?
Redetermination
Okay,
is the second level.
okay.
Appealing to the administration law judge is the third level. And the fourth level is before the board of review. After that is circuit court.
So it's like appeal or
Yeah,
protest.
mhm,
Would you, is it fair to say, and if it's not, that those words are kind of used interchangeably?
yes,
So he would go to these third level appeal hearings to represent the unemployment insurance agency.
yeah.
And what did that mean? What was it?
It means that he's there to represent the unemployment agency, when the administration law judge asks questions. And they will ask questions concerning the claim, the eligibility.
So like in court, they represent the agency, the other side. is the-
Yeah, right. Or the employer, like you said.
That's true too, yes, thank you. Where was Mr. Chappelle's, back in 2018 and 2019, this is pre-COVID, obviously. Where was your office located?
At the Cadillac place, on the 8th floor Cadillac place.
And that's here in Detroit?
Yes,
And where were their hearings held, these third level appeal hearings?
as I recall, they could be at the Southfield location or in Detroit.
And where was the Detroit location?
But I know of, some of them were at the Cadillac building.
So in the same building that
Yeah,
you work in? And was Mr. Chappelle, where was Mr. Chappelle's work office?
at the Cadillac building, and on the 8th floor.
So his, at that time, people came to work, regular
Yeah.
hours, 8 to 5, 8:35, whatever they were, correct?
Yes,
None of this post-COVID, work from home, anything like that?
no,
So if he went to work, on his regular hours and had a hearing in the Detroit location in the Cadillac building, it literally would be in the same building.
yes,
Just take the stairs, take an elevator.
yes.
Would there be any need for a car or a vehicle to travel there?
Not in the Detroit location, no.
Do you know where the Southfield location was for hearings?
I do not know the Southfield address, just in Southfield.
Any idea what road it's on?
No,
How would, kind of walk me through how it would happen that you, meaning your office, would know that you needed representation at a hearing?
it was a hearing team. So I will receive, email that, I had to assign, I was responsible to assign all these hearings. And they would come to me, weekly. And then I would have to assign someone on the hearing team to, represent the unemployment agency and assign them that particular, hearing.
How many people are on the team at the time, 2018, 19?
I do not recall.
Or Mr. Chappelle was one of them.
Yes.
So you get an email from whom?
I do not remember who that email, came from. When I had to schedule the, hearing. It could have come from another location. It could have come from somebody in Saginaw, Grand Rapids. I just knew I was responsible to assign someone to attend the hearing.
So, that was a badly phrased question. I'm not really necessarily meaning the exact person, but was it from like the court, the hearing court, or was it from within your agency?
It was not from the hearing court, it was, within the unemployment agency.
Be fair to say it was a notice that a hearing was gonna take place in regards to a claimant that you needed to assign to an examiner to go represent the department on, or the agency on.
Yes,
And when you received notice of the necessity of having someone be at a hearing, what would you do?
I would data enter the information on, Excel spreadsheet. And then after I data enter that, then I would assign to, the different examiners or lead workers that were part of the, hearing team to attend those, hearings.
How would you assign that particular hearing to a lead worker?
I just rotate. I will just rotate, what lead worker or examiner would attend,
And how would you let them know?
via the, email,
What
through
type-
Outlook, girl.
So Outlook is an email and calendar system, correct?
Yes, yep.
So would you send an email letting them know that a particular employee who you were assigning a hearing to know when that hearing was and letting them know they were assigned to it?
And what location?
Date
And
and
the
time,
time, yep.
date,
Date and
time, location, et cetera.
Yes, and, also, who the administration law judge would be.
That was gonna be my question. Let's jump back a little bit to the Excel spreadsheet you referenced. You said that you received notice of a hearing and that you entered data into an Excel spreadsheet. Was this Excel spreadsheet, what was the purpose of the Excel spreadsheet, excuse me?
To keep record of, what examiner or lead worker attended, what hearing, which hearing.
And what type of information or data did you input into this Excel spreadsheet?
The date that I enter it, the claimant name, social security number, the location of the hearing, the date of the hearing, I believe the law judge, and, the examiner or lead worker's name.
Who was assigned to it?
Yeah,
Would you include a case number or a document?
oh, yes. Yeah. That's true.
And were these hearings back then in person?
Yes,
Now, this Excel spreadsheet, you had entered this data yourself, correct?
yes,
And were there other people that also did your job?
yes, the managers were rotated.
And when you say managers were rotated in regards to the specific task of assigning the hearings,
Yes,
and how many in 18 and 19 were there?
hearing,
Not hearings, supervisors that rotated that did your job duties in
Oh,
regards to
as-
assigning work.
as I am aware, there were, 3 others.
And did they use the same Excel spreadsheet that you did?
Yes, they did.
And that was part of your routine practice and habit and job duties to do that?
Yes,
And that Excel spreadsheet that kept a record as you've described, was that kept in the course of your regularly conducted business activity of your department and agency?
yes,
And those records are kept thereafter as well, correct?
thereafter, I could not tell you. When you say thereafter.
You don't know if it's forever. That's a badly phrased.
Yeah,
Let me ask you this, were you ever contacted by anyone in regards to Rufus Chappelle's?
George, I'm sorry.
Go back on the record.
Thank you for the time, I appreciate it.
Well, give us a moment, give me a moment, we just have another issue. I'm not sure where you left off for a little bit.
We were talking about, the creation of the Excel spreadsheet. I believe, just to kind of get you back in my line of questioning, you said you entered, the other supervisors did. It was the same Excel spreadsheet, you all shared the information, is that correct? Or
Yes.
and put information on it. And at some point in time, that's where I was, were you contacted by someone as part of an investigation in regards to Mr. Chappelle, and were you asked for his hearing schedule?
No, oh, yes, yes,
The Excel spreadsheet.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
And did you provide that Excel spreadsheet of his hearing schedule to whomever asked for it?
yes, I did,
Would you recognize it if you saw it again?
yes.
Yes, that's true. May I approach? I just was showing him in the sense of disease.
Yes,
Sorry, I'm trying to hurry so.
I know, yes.
I'm gonna hand you people's proposed exhibit number 8 and ask you to take a look at it. Do you recognize it?
Yes,
What is it?
it's the Excel hearing schedule that managers are responsible to data enter.
And is that, let me ask you this, you also mentioned though, I wanna, if I may confer with council for a second. Yeah. Correct. Just. It's like, for example, this person is associated with this document. Okay? For obvious reasons. Sure. Now, Ms. Washington, that people's proposed exhibit 8, that, if you take a look at it, you testified that you and the other supervisors would also enter the claimant name and social security number. Would it be fair to say on that copy of the record of the Excel spreadsheet, that's been redacted or not included in people's proposed exhibit number 8?
Yes,
Those 2 columns have been redacted or not included for obvious privacy reasons.
correct.
Now, when you would enter a claimant name, you would enter the name, the social security number, docket number, so the name and social security number is associated with a particular docket number.
Yes,
And the docket numbers are on there, correct?
yes,
Okay. And again, these are kept in the normal course of your business.
yes.
I would, at this point in time, Your Honor, ask that people's proposed exhibit number 8 be admitted into evidence.
I have no objection, Judge. I just would know, for the purpose of this hearing, I just would note that some of these hearing dates would be irrelevant as they go outside the time period of what we're talking about. We'll be able to see that.
And I would agree with counsel in, from the perspective and ask the court only to consider the pages that start with September of 2015. Again, I did not want to, what hearings he may or may not have had outside before the offense date. If counsel's right, they're not relevant, but again, I didn't want to alter a document.
What page would that start
Don't know that they're numbered.
on?
May I approach?
Yes.
They're very, very clear of. Approximately 5 to 6 pages in.
Okay.
Would that be fair to say?
A little bit longer because we're talking September of 2015, if I understand.
Oh, you're right.
correctly.
Yep.
And that would be, I think, page 11. I
Fair
think.
enough.
Okay, if you want page 11 to be the beginning of it, If there's something, is there anything between 1 and 10 that you need to enter?
No, other than the headings,
I see.
that would be the problem.
Yeah.
I would just ask the court can.
I do not want to look at anything outside of what's relevant.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll start on page 11.
Yes, but can we still include it because of the headings?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm making those there. So it will be omitted as People's Exhibit number 8, with understanding that page 11 is where the date begins of September 2015, fully admitted so that the headings on page 1 can be admitted.
And if we're off on the page, that date, it's about, unfortunately, they're not page numbered, so it's very clear the date. You'll be very easily be able to tell when September of 2015 starts. Ms. Washington, People's Exhibit number 8. Where are all the hearing locations? Are they specific to only Southfield or Detroit?
Yes. Oh, yes, the ones I did, yes.
Now, did you know where Mr. Chappelle lived at the time that you were his supervisor?
No,
Do you remember what were your office hours back then?
we were on adjusted work schedule, so it would be different time. The regular hours were 8 to 5, but we were adjusted work schedule.
What does that mean?
We had the right to apply for the adjusted work schedule. And then if we were approved, we had certain options of times that we could choose. We could start from 7 a.m. to 3:30, 7:30 to 4, adjusted work schedules. And if it was approved, then we would work that time that we were approved.
Did you work every day, Monday through Friday?
Yes,
Did your employees work every day, Monday through Friday?
yes,
Absent a sick day or vacation, obviously.
yes.
So the adjusted work schedule was just a potential difference of work hours in a particular day?
Yes.
Or every day?
No, it was every
It was
day.
every day.
For that whole entire year. We had to apply for it every year, that whole, entire year. If we were approved that particular, adjusted work schedule, that's what we worked.
But the office hours were 8 to 5.
Yes,
And do you know if Rufus Chappelle was on an adjusted work schedule or not?
I could recall that Rufus, worked from 8 to 5.
As part of being a hearing officer, strike that, as part of being part of the team to represent the lead worker, that his position, lead worker.
Lead
As
worker.
part of being a lead worker, and attending hearings and representing the Unemployment Insurance Agency, what specific job duties were there involved that Mr. Chappelle had to do to get ready for these hearings, if anything?
Oh, he had to get the, case ready, to prepare. He had to study that case. He had to be knowledgeable to that, case. He was representing the unemployment agency. So,
And when you say case, what do you mean by that? How would he get a case ready? How would your examiners get a case ready? Or not your examiners, excuse me, your lead workers.
they would make copies through, the system. The system, Midas,
So there's a computer system.
yeah, computer system.
And is that computer system where people apply for unemployment
Yes,
and all of your records in regards to claimants are kept in this Midas system?
yes,
And so would Mr. Chappelle have had access, obviously, to that Midas system and particular claimants' accounts in order to prepare the case?
yes,
So we're talking paper. You're going in and looking at things that are in data that's in a system that you could print out.
yes,
Okay. And was that something, when you say get the case ready, that someone would do, that you would expect your employee to do to prepare for a hearing?
yes,
Okay. So now this is, as you said, at the appeal process. This is the appeal point. Is all the documentation necessary to prepare for the case contained in this Midas system?
yes, as far as I know, yes.
Is there any, since it's an appeal, is it fair to say that there wouldn't be new evidence introduced? That just reviewing the record of the previous determination?
Well, the claimant or employer, once it goes to the third level before the hearing, they have the right to add, more documentation, for the administration law judge before the hearing.
Okay. Was there ever a time that your lead workers needed to travel for work to go do quote further investigation or investigate?
I'm not aware of that.
And how long have you worked there again, since when?
Oh, work for the unemployment, agency. I've been with the unemployment agency for 33 years.
But in your current position where you're supervising examiners, I think you said.
Approximately 2009.
And since then, how many examiners who represented the agency at hearings would you say you supervised?
I only could recall two.
You supervised two?
Yes, I could recall two.
Mr. Chappelle is one of them?
Yes,
But how many lead workers do you have now, if any?
I have, one lead worker.
So the only two
Madam Chair,
lead,
as to the relevance of that.
I'm a little confused.
The relevance as to
As to
two
what she
now
has
versus
now.
one,
Yeah,
or one versus two.
Well, ever, I just was asking how many lead workers in her career has she supervised?
But as far as her now having, is there a reason why you need to know about?
No, I mean, in your career.
Sometimes I have two lead workers. I currently now only have one lead worker.
So if you started in this position in 2009, and now we're in 2023, over all those years, approximately in total, how many lead workers would you say you supervised? That's what I meant by my question, sorry.
I had different lead workers being reassigned, maybe after, cause I'm always inheriting new teams, so I could guess maybe 6
Total?
lead workers, maybe six, you said lead workers.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause it's usually 2 on a team, 2 lead workers, on a team.
And have you supervised a team every year that you've been in this position?
Yes, I have always had a team, yes.
And a team usually consists of two, and so from 2009, in 14, approximately 14 years, every year you've had a team, including two approximately lead workers.
Yes,
So over 14 years times two, be fair to say that's 28?
I have not had 28 lead workers,
Okay.
because I might have the same team for maybe, 6 years, and then, okay, you understand?
We're talking different ones. I see.
Yeah.
I understand, okay. Would you say over 5?
I would say during this period of time, I haven't had approximately no more than 5 lead workers.
Okay, and if any of those lead workers needed to use, drive anywhere to quote, do further investigation or investigate?
I'm not aware, all lead workers weren't a part of the hearing team.
And again, have you ever been asked or known any to have requested to use their own vehicle or a state vehicle to go do investigation for a case?
I do not recall that at all.
You don't recall or it didn't happen?
I don't, I'm unaware, I'm just saying, I'm unaware of that.
Thank you. Ms. Washington, as the defendant's direct supervisor, did you ever give him permission to use the state of Michigan motor vehicle over the weekend?
No,
Did you ever give the defendant permission to use the state of Michigan, a state of Michigan motor vehicle on a holiday or over a holiday?
no,
Did you ever give him permission to have 2 state of Michigan motor pool vehicles assigned to him at the same time?
no.
Can you think of any reason why an employee would need 2 state of Michigan motor vehicles at the same time if they were doing it for state business?
Judge, I would object to that. I don't know if there's been a foundation, I would say there's not a foundation laid that she's the appropriate person to answer that question with proper speculation.
She's a supervisor of lead workers. I think she can answer in regards to that. Did she think of any time that a lead worker would need 2 vehicles assigned to them at the same time for any reason?
And that would be under her supervision, so she.
Correct.
I believe you can answer that question.
Okay, say it, repeat the question.
Sure. Can you think of any reason why a state of Michigan employee lead worker that you may have supervised would need 2 state of Michigan motor vehicles checked out and assigned to them at the same time?
No,
As a state of Michigan manager for the unemployment agency, is it the policy or are you allowed to use the state of Michigan vehicle to take a vacation?
no,
To run personal errands?
Objections are relevant. What she's allowed to do is not relevant to you.
Where
We're
you're,
not talking about her position here. We're talking about Mr. Chappelle's position.
There may be different, allowances between the role of supervisor and lead, so maybe that needs to be clarified.
sure. How about lead workers? Same question.
no,
if you know the answer to this, if you don't know the answer to this, if you're not the right witness to ask, let me know. If an employee lived in a location and one of their hearing locations was in essence on their way to their work location, i.e. Cadillac Place. What is the policy or what would you expect them to do in regards to using a motor vehicle?
I don't know the answer to that.
Fair enough.
Then,
Did Rufus Chappelle ever report to you that he had a suspended license?
no,
Did Rufus Chappelle ever ask you if he could take the state car home overnight?
no,
I don't believe I have any other questions of this witness.
Just watching, sir, I'll try to be fast.
Mhm.
Go home.
okay, thank you.
So you testified that there were 3 other managers that oversaw the work, correct?
They had lead workers also,
Okay, so-
but they may not have been part of the hearing team.
Okay, and fair enough, did they rotate?
Yeah, we rotated, the responsibility of assigning hearings, yes.
So one lead worker would have multiple managers? Is that fair to say?
No,
Okay, but so when you say you rotated, what do you mean when you say?
we rotated the work task of assigning hearings to, examiners or lead workers that were a part of attending the hearing.
Okay, so for example, then would one of these other 3 managers have possibly assigned Mr. Chappelle to attend here?
Yes,
Okay, and so in people's proposed exhibit number 8, or what is now exhibit number 8, there is a, you know what document I'm talking about?
yes, the Excel sheet.
Yes, that Excel sheet. There would have been other managers that assigned, say, Mr. Chappelle, different hearings, correct?
Yes,
Right. And it was your testimony that the lead workers had to assist in any means necessary, correct?
yes, if they were part of the hearing team.
Okay, so if they're part of the hearing team, they assist in any means necessary. correct?
Yes,
And, you got these hearings, the notification, you said weekly?
yes, they would come, weekly. I could recall them coming, weekly, sometimes a few, sometimes more than a few.
And if you know, would the lead workers then immediately be notified of these hearings?
Yes, after, I data entered the information, it was my responsibility to assign that hearing.
Lead workers would also, deliver subpoenas, fair to say?
Yes, I could recall, yes, yes.
And just, I just have to say, this is, I'm sure there's no ill intent. But when I do ask a question, I have to ask counsel not to listen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't think there's any ill intent.
Okay, and I can't see it, so.
No, thank you. I didn't realize I was doing it.
And I know you couldn't see it.
And it
but you
was-
probably-
Definitely not to indicate an answer to the witness.
Okay.
I will keep my head
I believe
still.
it.
I believe that. So delivering subpoenas is one of the duties, correct?
Yeah,
And then, by any means necessary, there could be other duties, correct?
oh, yeah, for the, yeah, they had others, yeah.
Okay. Oh. Who were those other three managers?
You want their name?
Yes.
Melanie Holman Harris, Wanda Hobson, and Tom Sanfilippo.
So that was Melanie Holman Harris,
Mm-hmm.
SES.
Yeah, okay, yes, yes.
Fair enough. And did you say Wanda
Hobson,
Hobson and Tom, what was it?
Sanfilippo.
Lady by the name of Janice Harlan? Are you aware of who she is?
Yes,
Was she employed at the agency?
yes,
Was she employed at your level or higher up?
higher,
So she had more authority than you, fair to say?
yes,
And, she would also have authority over Mr. Chappelle, fair to say?
yes,
If she were to tell Mr. Chappelle to do something, he should do it, correct?
yes,
And anyone on Ms. Harlan's level that would tell Mr. Chappelle to do something, he should do it, correct?
yes,
And if she would tell you to do something, you should do it.
yes,
And just to be clear, if the lead workers are told to do certain things by supervisors, say on your level, or any level higher than them, they are to do these things, fair to say?
yes,
And some of these things would take place outside of the actual Cadillac building, correct?
yes.
Nothing further.
What is Janice Harlan's position?
She was the director of the unemployment agency.
She was the director of the unemployment agency.
Oh, not, that's what she was the director over the Detroit location. Unemployment, the Detroit location.
Was she your boss?
Yes,
Was she your direct supervisor?
no,
How many people between you and her?
just one,
Who was that?
Christine Sparks.
The council asked you if someone higher than your authority asked him to do something, he would do it. Would it be fair to say we're talking about state business,
Yes,
not like go get my dry cleaning?
it was state business.
You said you got notice of hearings weekly. Do you recall how much notice in advance of a hearing you would normally get?
No,
Not even approximate? Like, for example, we have a hearing tomorrow. Would that happen? Or would it be in a week, 2 weeks?
the hearings that I assigned, that I am aware to, it would come more than, it wouldn't be anything last minute, a day before. They would have ample time to prepare for the hearing, so they could attend the hearing.
And what would you consider ample time?
At least a week.
Now, Mr. Chappelle was able to drive a state vehicle to attend a training, for example.
Yeah,
is that something that you would just do or get permission for, or how would that work?
If he has to attend, training and is outside the location, he has the right to use the state vehicle.
Would he let you know or ask you, hey, can I go to this training, or I need to go to the training?
That training will be given to me via, email, and it could be given to me by, another person, and I would know, and I will put that information on my calendar.
So you know about it.
Yes,
Trainings, council mentioned subpoenas,
and orientation,
orientations, trainings, how about conferences?
yes,
That's all considered part of work, right?
yes.
What? There was not another manager who managed Mr. Chappelle at the time on the same level as you. I just want to be clear, but there's three
It's a
managers.
leading question.
Well, I just want to clarify, because council asked you about the three managers. Those rotated just assigning cases, not rotated supervising Mr. Chappelle.
Was assigning the hearing.
You were his direct supervisor throughout the entire time of 2018 until he was no longer with the agency, correct?
Yes,
Except for if there were higher than you that requested him to do something.
yes.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Ms. Washington, if any of these other three managers or a higher up were to have told Mr. Chappelle to do some other work, you wouldn't necessarily know about it, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Nothing further.
Any other questions?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Washington, you're all set. She's in the courtroom, right? I'm in the courthouse.
Yes.
For the other witnesses,
I
or a
have,
day?
may I have a permission?
Sure.
Come this way.
Thank you, Ms. Washington. I hope you have a better commute
Okay,
back than you did here.
Thank you.
Thanks. May I step out? Step out.
Wait.
I'm ready for your question.
Huh?
I'm ready for your question.
I bet you both are.
I think I'm gonna stand mute.
They're not guilty.
Just continue to face the judge for me. The emphasis, okay?
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon. So, we all can see this case, going to extend it to another day, possibly two more, don't know for sure. We are done for today. We also have a water main break issue, no water working, so we're going to get out of here. And, I asked that you all come in so that we could all pick a date that everyone. So I'm guessing that 1:30 would be the best time, in the afternoon, so we don't have any other cases to do.
You are, sir.
So, up until June 16th. Anything before June 16th, available? Because those next 2 weeks, I'm going to be out in training. After that, after 16th, so we have to go into July, if not before June 16th. You can speak, just state your name on, you know what?
You're not, Special Agent Charles Brown from the Attorney General's office. Yeah.
for a week,
What week?
starting tomorrow.
Okay.
So I may not be back until the earliest, maybe the morning of the 16th. So I could probably come back that day. You never know what it's like.
I would, does anyone else have a conflict next week, Monday next week?
No.
Okay. I would ask the, yes,
I do. Have a speaking engagement. It's the 15th. Not the 15th.
to ensure that my other witness who has COVID, could we schedule those available next week? And knowing then that unfortunately there would be a quick other date for my officer in charge if needed, and then Ms. Lardy would have to come back. Because she's not here to see if that works for her too.
That's fine.
So we know it'd be, but it'd be, obviously the third time would be real quick.
That's fine. So next week, let me try and find a date.
Because I can't do the 15th and 16th. I can do it first 3 days.
So the 14th, the court is closed in the afternoon because our documents are blocked off and there's a 1 o'clock Tigers game.
They do that, huh?
Yes, too much traffic,
Makes sense.
no parking,
Okay.
chaos.
13?
There are 3 1:30 exams scheduled. Nope, it's a 2 to 15. And no 15, correct? We're in July. No Monday, right? No June 12th?
No, I can do 12. I think we can do 12.
Okay. I can do- Great, all right.
June 12th at 1:30?
Yep.
Okay.
And then we'll figure out a third date on the 12th. Okay.
So we'll have 3 witnesses on the 12th. We'll have 3 witnesses, Charles and the other witness. Is a coded will. Do you want Ms. Lardy to come back on the 12th if she's available? Becky, you know, time to look at those records. Yes. Okay. I don't know if she's available or not, but if she is, I'll ask her. They are David Hoffmeister. I will. Yes. David Hoffmeister. Next week, and maybe carry that. Judge, in lieu of subpoenas, we get court order, then we come back then.
Yes, I've already all come back.
I think they're all cooperative anyway, but if they need something from their bosses, they can say they were ordered by the judge.
Do you all need a work letter? No? I didn't think so.
I didn't either, but.
All right.
Thank
Anything
you
else?
so much.
No. Okay.
Are you off?
You're off the record.
Pack up.
Thanks,
All
Dave.
right, thank you. Yes, I will do that.